not talking about how you feel. I'm talking about how I feel. What happened when I was there? DEI. I got a law degree, a master's, and 2 bachelors. Probably more education than all of y'all added up together.
I think you all have literally no idea how the government works, is what I actually
do.
Scott Jennings nukes the entire CNN panel because apparently they did not get the memo that DEI, your critical race theory activist nonsense, is finished. The Democrat Party is in shambles, and the CNN panel proves it as they continue to double down on racial identity politics. What you're about to hear from this one CNN panel is the most hysterical, outrageous, delusional, race-hustling, victimhood outrage you might have ever heard. As always, like the video and subscribe to the channel, but I gotta start with my man Scott Jennings literally having to explain to these people why DEI is racist and anti-American.
If race is not the issue, then why is DEI mentioned every single day as a solution to every single problem that faces this
Because of how pervasive it is, and how hateful it is
really
to an actual conservative ideological view.
But do you think it is true that all of America's ills, from the plane crash to whatever it is, wildfires, due to DEI for real?
I think that if you believe in the fundamental principle of America, which is that we guarantee everybody an equal chance, not an equal outcome, but an equal chance, then trying to go around that principle, conservatives don't believe in it. And most people who believe in America don't believe in it, number one. Number two, the concept of not hiring the best person for the job in government or anywhere else has been repeatedly rejected by the American people, the Supreme Court, and everything else.
Us conservatives believe that discriminatory hiring practices are wrong, but woke liberal DEI activists advocate for preferential treatment to be given to somebody based off of their skin color and discriminating against white people because of their skin color. They always complain about systemic institutional racism. Well, that's the institutional racism right there, coming from their side. Claiming victimhood and blaming systemic injustices that don't exist is just an excuse for you to abdicate any responsibility that you have for your own outcomes. It makes you feel better about your shortcomings. If something doesn't go your way, it wasn't because you didn't work hard enough or you're not good enough. It's because the whole system is rigged against you because you're black. That kind of mindset is so harmful to the people in the black community who are the poorest, so they're the ones who need hope and belief and optimism the most. But yet Democrats encourage them to contain themselves in a mental prison and abandon any potential they might have otherwise by believing in a delusional and false reality about this country. Now, one of the DEI activists on the panel responds to Scott Jennings with the most elitist, pretentious, snobby thing I have ever heard come out of a Democrat's mouth. Watch.
The issue in this country right now is we live in different realities.
That's right.
I live in a reality where I know I do not have the same opportunity as you. I know I don't.
And you know that
I know
too.
what, Scott?
You know that.
Let me just tell you about me.
I'm gonna let you finish, but I want to answer this.
I'm not talking about how you feel. I'm talking about how I feel. Me, a black woman in this country.
But not in this city.
And I will run, and if you want me
I'm a New Yorker, not in this city. You cannot say that. You can't say that in this city.
I'm not talking about New York. I'm talking about actually
let her finish.
right here.
Let her finish.
I got a law degree, a master's, and 2 bachelors. Probably more education than all of y'all added up together at this table,
Fine
right?
by me.
And I have always been the least paid person on payroll at every institution I have worked in. And it's not
Even in the White House?
Even in the White House.
Well, whose fault is that? I don't think you worked for George W. or Trump.
Well, guess what happened when I was there? DEI.
Like, we already knew that they feel this way and they think their shit doesn't stink. But for her to say it that way, this openly, was her lashing out in a desperate way to try to justify her decision to vote for the losing candidate. They lost so badly and so overwhelmingly, they can't bear to think that they were that wrong. Instead, they have to make themselves feel good and remind them and everyone else that they have so many degrees, they're so smart, they're more educated than everybody at this table. I mean, what a snobby thing to say. I don't see how anybody would want to be friends with a person like that. If you walk through the world scanning rooms and saying, I bet I'm more educated than them. I bet I'm more educated than them. You are a truly insecure person. You know you lack fundamental skills, capability, competence, or intelligence. If she didn't get paid the most at any job that she's at, a normal person would look in the mirror and say, what's wrong with me? What am I not doing enough of to where my employers don't see that much value in me? But victims can never be wrong. They can never be not good enough. They can never have shortcomings. They can never have flaws. They're just perfect, and the world owes everything to them. And at the very end, she gets schooled when the guy points out, you worked in the Obama White House and you were still paid the least. So you can't just blame it on racism then when you were working in the administration of a black person who made racial equality and DEI his whole thing. So Carrie Champion, who is one of the most snarky and obnoxious people on TV, who is a stark defender and supporter and believer of racism. I mean, you could point to a household item and she could explain to you how that's racist. Tries to lecture Scott Jennings, and I can't blame him. After hearing all of this nonsense, he blows up on everybody. Let's take a look.
Political appointees have one qualification. They serve at the pleasure of the president because the president believes that person's going to best carry out their agenda. That is the only qualification.
And to protect and defend the Constitution.
And that is the only, that's the only qualification for a political appointee.
Competency doesn't matter.
Of course they're competent. Of course he believes they're competent. If he didn't believe they were competent, he wouldn't appoint them.
You're not being fair with that. You're not being fair with that response. She asked you a very simple question, yes or no. Look at the appointees. Do you believe DEI had anything to do with those appointees? Do you believe they were qualified? Do you think they would protect and defend the Constitution that represents all of the people of the United States of America?
I think Mark Rubio. I think Mark
You all have literally no idea how the government works, is what I actually
do.
So the question that preceded that entire interaction was they asked Scott Jennings if he thought that Trump's cabinet picks were DEI picks. Because what they're trying to argue is Trump's picks aren't the most qualified for the job, which shows that they still don't get it. They are completely missing the ball. The Americans did not want another traditional pick. They didn't want another establishment swamp monster. They elected Trump to shake up the government, rid it of the corruption, rid it of the inefficiency, rebuild it from the bottom up, and make it work for the American people in a way that does not put $37 trillion of debt on our national budget. The American people gave two giant middle fingers to the establishment, the status quo, and the way things have been done. I just don't understand how the Democrats are so clueless. Americans wanted mass deportation. The Democrats are choosing to fight that. Americans wanted their government cleaned out and made inefficient and exposed for all the corruption and waste. And the Democrats are fighting and protesting that. Americans wanted men out of women's sports. And the Democrats are fighting that. Americans wanted an end to DEI and radical woke policies. And as they're exposing on this panel, they're tripling down on that. Democrat favorability is already at an all-time low, and it certainly has not hit the floor yet. You gotta think, they're so down bad that the only argument they can really make in the news right now is something to do with eggs. Because Donald Trump has essentially fulfilled every campaign promise within the first 2 weeks. It's just pure despair and desperation that they're trying to make themselves feel happy and satisfied and right that Donald Trump hasn't completed a term's worth of stuff in the first 3 weeks. Now, Scott Jennings literally tells the black girl who's more educated than everybody in the table that she didn't need DEI to succeed. She's smart, she's competent, she's hardworking, she's talented. I mean, he compliments her in the best way possible, and she gets offended. I'm not kidding. Watch.
I actually think we share a lot of similarities in our journey, but I think you made it, and you are the most respected voice often at every room or every table you're in, not because of anything other than your talent and your work ethic. And that's all anybody ever is asking for, is for people with talent and work ethic to make it. And that's what I see in you. That's how I see you.
But let me tell you something about my story and my family's story, is that we have faced discrimination. I have faced discrimination. I just said I was the least paid person, even in this moment sometimes, to my counterparts. It is just the reality of the country we live in. And I'm not saying, I do believe I'm qualified. I know I'm qualified. You won't ever tell me I'm not qualified. But the system that I live in doesn't matter about my qualifications.
I don't agree
think we're
because
there in
when
2025.
Oh, come
I don't think we're there in 2025.
You can't don't
That's just not
Saying
true.
that
That's
is
just
that
not true.
There is a mountain of evidence that suggests that you are wrong.
This is the problem with DEI victims and people who see the entire world through racial divides and systemic injustices, is you refuse to be seen as an equal. You are the one reinforcing the racism that nobody else wants to participate in. You are the only one who is keeping this racist mindset and belief alive. And they can't stand it. They have to keep it alive. They have to hold on to it because otherwise they don't have any other scapegoat for their failures. Self-awareness, self-reflection is a hard thing. Telling yourself the hard truth is not always easy. What you're good at, what you're not good at, how you can improve, what you need to do better about yourself. These are all components to being successful, not being coddled and told that you're perfect and immune from criticism, and thinking that if you don't get your way, then the world is against you. A higher power doesn't want to see you succeed. It's not real, and you're limiting yourself from any kind of success. See, the thing about the American dream is it's only real if you believe in it. If you believe you can do anything, you cannot be stopped, you'll face hurdles, you'll face challenges, but you'll power through and you'll succeed no matter what because you live in the greatest country ever, you will have an incredible wind at your back propelling you to success. But if you believe that everything's against you, you have no chance of succeeding no matter how hard you try, no matter how good you get at a skill, that the white man's always gonna be holding you down, so you might as well not even try. The number one component to being successful is believing that it can happen. The world is not going to give you anything, so you have to believe that you are capable of taking it, of achieving it, of making it happen. And you are in the best country in the world to take advantage of that. Of course, if you try, you're gonna trip and fall, you're gonna fail, but if you get back up, if you are persistent with an unshakable determination to win, then you will. So finally, Carrie Champion, the racist philosopher, tries to give Scott Jennings one last sermon about how everything's racist, and Scott just hits her with a mic drop moment on the way out.
Why is it so hard to understand why something like diversity, equity, inclusion needs to be a part of what we do in a system that never even acknowledged a group of people, never saw us as a human commodity, just literally never noticed who we were, and now here we are years later asking for some simple rights, some simple civility. She's asking to be paid like you get paid. She's asking to be acknowledged like you get acknowledged. And she knows that that is not the case because she is a black woman.
She had a high-ranking position in the White House of the United States of America.
Dear friend,
she is one of the most celebrated political operatives in the country.
There's a
Do you know how hard I had to work to get that?
Do you know how hard the son of a garbage man had to work at it? So I'm just telling you,
I'm not saying that, but
talent and work ethic are everything, and that's why I think you're here.
It's not true. It's just not true. It's just not true.
That's what's so off-putting about the left and why there's been such a major exodus from that party. The rest of us want to live in reality and operate in reality. White people are tired of being called racist and not being able to escape that label no matter who they are or what they do. Just like Scott Jennings tried to do when he complimented his co-host, but then got met with hostility. Black people are tired of being told that they're victims, they're oppressed, they're failures, they can't make it. The criteria to be part of the Democrat Party is you have to be so hateful and miserable, and who wants to be associated with that? We've had a black president. You can't point to a place in government or business or anywhere in society where black people have not made it to the top. Everything is equal, everything is good, and most normal people want to enjoy life in the best country on earth. We are tired of hearing about how terrible and how horrible America is, and the Democrats don't realize it. That is why they lost in this election. That's why they're hemorrhaging support, and that's why they are on a generational run to keep on losing. But let me know what you guys think down in the comments section below. If you enjoyed the video, make sure you hit that like button. Make sure you subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Turn on the notification bells so you never miss a video. And I will see you guys in the next one.